Hello, I'm Gordon Lang, editor of CameraLabs.com. I'd like to give you a brief video tour around the Panasonic Lumix DMC-G1. Here it is, the Lumix G1. This is the debut model in the Micro Four Thirds standard. This employs removable lenses and a DSLR size sensor within the body. But by dispensing with the reflex mirror and optical viewfinder of a traditional DSLR, Micro Four Thirds bodies like the G1 can be that bit smaller and lighter. The G1 is comfortably smaller than models like Canon's EOS 450D or Rebel XSI, and it's even smaller than the world's smallest DSLR at the time we made this video, the Olympus E420. But the G1 is about more than just small size and weight. Here are some of the highlights of this camera. The Lumix G1 operates exclusively in live view, and consequently the viewfinder is an electronic type. But this is no ordinary electronic viewfinder. It borrows technology from Panasonic's professional range of video cameras, and as such the image is incredibly detailed. It looks so much better than normal electronic viewfinders, and it's also really large. In fact, the image that you see through the Lumix G1 is comfortably larger than the view you'll see through most budget DSLRs. Complementing this viewfinder is a great quality 3-inch screen with 460K dots and a fully articulated mount that allows you to flip and twist it to any angle. The G1 sensor is protected from dust by the legendary supersonic wave filter, one of the most effective that we tested at CameraLabs.com. The G1 offers a continuous shooting rate of 3 frames per second. Here's how that sounds in practice. The standard kit for the Lumix G1 comes with the G Vario 14 to 45mm lens. This offers an equivalent coverage of 28 to 90mm, and it also includes optical stabilization to combat camera shake. The bulk of the G1's controls are on the upper right surface. Here you'll find the main mode dial offering intelligent auto for foolproof shooting, but also program, aperture, shutter priority and full manual for when you want more control. Around the edge of this dial is the power switch, and a switch here dedicated to setting the drive mode. Alongside here you'll find a button for firing up the superimposed Q menu and also for directly adjusting the film mode. On the back of the camera you'll find a preview button here. This offers a depth of field preview for when you're in aperture priority, but also a fairly unique shutter priority preview that will actually show you what will happen if you're using a slower shutter speed with moving subjects. As a Panasonic camera, it's no surprise to find the G1 is equipped with an SD memory card slot. On the other side of the body, behind this flap, you'll find the G1's only pair of ports. To the left, a TV and USB output, and to the right, a mini HDMI port. On the upper left side of the body, you'll find a dial dedicated to switching the autofocus modes from single to continuous to manual focus. And finally, as you may expect, a pop-up flash and a flash hot shoe for mounting external flash guns. Now let's take a look at the Lumix G1's screen and autofocus performance. Now the G1 operates in live view mode all of the time, just like a compact camera, and this causes a few concerns over autofocus performance because it's going to have to do so with a contrast-based system only, and traditionally speaking DSLRs have not been very fast at contrast-based autofocusing. But I'm going to show you now exactly how Panasonic has solved this problem. Here I've got the camera pointing at a circuit board and I've turned it slightly out of focus, so now let's see how quickly the camera is going to autofocus when I half press the shutter release. I'm going to do that right now. Now as you saw there, that was pretty much instant. I'll show you once more. I'm going to half press the shutter. And as you can see, that was very fast. This contrast-based system is at least as fast or even quicker than the phase change system on budget digital SLRs. So Panasonic has solved that problem. Now being a live view system that's actually taking a live feed from the sensor, you've got a very good magnified manual focus assistance mode. So if I switch the camera into manual focus, you'll see that I can display a frame that I can move around the screen to the area that I want to have a closer look at. Let's try this area here. And then if I press the set button, we can take a closer look at that. And if I turn the finger dial, we can take an even closer look again. And now if I turn the manual focusing ring, you can see that it's very possible to get that manual focus absolutely spot on. And you know that's exactly what you're going to get because this feed is coming straight off the sensor. The G1 also gives you very quick access to various settings via its Q menu system. If I press the Q menu button on the top of the camera, you can see these various options drop down from the top of the screen, just like earlier Panasonic compacts. But this option actually continues along the bottom of the screen as well. Here's some more things you can change: the autofocus area, the metering, exposure compensation and sensitivity. So this is a very quick and easy way to change various options. Panasonic's also been very clever with the way it's implemented the finger dial on this camera. If I just switch it momentarily to aperture priority mode, you can see here the aperture value highlighted in yellow, f5.6, and of course I can change that using this finger dial. But the finger dial also has a push option. If I push it in, you can see now that the exposure compensation area is highlighted, so I can directly adjust that and then go back to the aperture again, just again by pressing that dial inwards. So this gives you very quick access to changing these settings. At no point did I have to remove my finger from this control. Finally, let's take a look at some of the graphics that you can overlay on the screen. If I go into the menu here, we can turn a histogram feature on, and there's the histogram, and you can actually change the position of the histogram if you'd prefer to have it maybe down here. I'm going to turn that back off again. And there's also a variety of grid lines that you can overlay to help with alignment. Let's take a look at that one there. I'll make that a little bit easier to see by waving my fingers in front of the lens. And because the viewfinder is electronic, you'll see exactly the same graphics and menus replicated within there. And you'll also notice some infrared sensors here, so that when you do bring your eye up to the viewfinder, the screen will switch off. Just before wrapping up this section, I want to show you one of the display options. If I press the display button, we can turn that information off. Press it once more and we get an alternative presentation of the settings. I'm still in aperture priority mode, and you can see the F number there in the top left corner. Now if I press this finger dial in, you'll see this wheel highlighted here. This is showing the exposure compensation in a more graphical form. And if I press the Q menu button, it gives you an alternative means to adjust these settings. Again, let's go into the autofocus mode here. I can change that to AF tracking or maybe face detection, or back to the main 23 area system. The Panasonic Lumix G1 is a feature-packed and highly enjoyable camera to use. You have the choice of composition between the detailed electronic viewfinder or the flexibility of this quality flip-out screen. It's also very easy to use. Panasonic's intelligent auto mode is pretty foolproof, but when you want more control, there's the traditional program, aperture, shutter and manual modes to go for. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this camera really is very compact, but yet it has a decent sized grip, and Panasonic's thought through the ergonomics of the controls so it remains comfortable to use and easy to hold. But this camera isn't without its downsides. Most notably, like any new standard, the lens selection is limited at launch, and this camera also doesn't have a movie mode. Now I've discussed these pros and cons and the other disadvantages and advantages of this camera system in my full review of it at cameralabs.com. And in that review you'll also find image quality results that directly compare this camera against one of the best super zooms on the market and also one of the most popular digital SLRs. So to find out if Panasonic has combined the best of both of those worlds or come up with a camera that's perhaps compromised in each respect, then check out my full review. You'll find it, as always, at www.cameralabs.com.